So the scientists are now looking a lot into what's called attachment theory. And attachment theory has been bandied around for probably 40 years or so now, maybe even a little bit longer. And it was first used to talk about the bond between a mother and a child. And they have found in orphanages this thing they call the hospitalization effect, where children in orphanages keep dying, and it's not because of a lack of food. It's actually through a lack of nurturing, a lack of physical touch, and basically love. So touch isn't something that we're really taught to do with our horses. What we tend to do, we put saddles on their backs to ride them, we drive them from behind, we're always above the horse, and then we're taught to slap it on the neck when it's being good. So I'm about trying to change that, trying to get people to rub the horse, touch the horse more. When we break in horses, I break them in bareback first so I can lay all over their body and get them really used to touch. And touch has been proven to have a really big calming effect on the horse. Good boy. Again, hard with a hot horse today, on a hot day for him. But lots and lots of rubbing, and that spot just in front of the wither, handily enough, is the spot that lowers the horse's heart rate. That's the bit that all horses go to, the feel-good spot, if you like. And we're lucky that it's here and not under the tail or somewhere a little more tricky to get to. It's right there for us. So why do we want to whack the horse? Well, I think chimpanzees actually do that. I think it's something that way back in the primitive days, that's what we used to do. You see chimpanzees all the time kind of doing this, and we kind of always want to slap each other as well. But what we really should learn to do with horses is touch. And I think that's how a lot of physical therapies really work with the horse as well. And I think the more studies they do into it, the more they realize that touch is possibly something that horses don't just crave, but actually desperately need. So have a bit of think of that. And attachment theory, a lot of nervousness in horses can be solved purely through touch. But it does take time. It's not an instant fix, lay my hand on the wither and he's going to calm down. It takes minutes and minutes of rubbing to help relax him. But the more time I spend with him and the more I rub him, the more relaxed he'll get. And it also makes me feel nice as a person as well. So that's important. Good boy, good boy. So it's really important. I think one of the hardest things about being a horse is learning what to discriminate or how to discriminate different signals. Now, a lot of people, from my way of thinking, overuse their leg aids. They use their leg when they want to slow down. They use their leg when they want to speed up. They use their leg when they want to bend. They definitely use their leg when they want to rein back. And they use their leg for sideways. And pretty much the answer to anything is to put more leg on and push the horse. So that's really hard for the horse if a leg aid means all of those things. We've only got two positions in dressage we're allowed to put our legs. Here in what we call the forward position and here in what we call the back position. So you're not allowed your leg forward on the shoulder or in any other wacky position, just two spots. So it's pretty hard for a horse to differentiate all those different things from your leg aid, and that causes a lot of confusion. So for me, I use the reins to control the front feet, to turn the horse, to shift the shoulders of the horse, and I use the reins to slow down the front legs, to shorten the front legs, to stop and to step back. Good boy. And I use my legs only for going faster, going longer, and one leg back for going sideways. I don't use my leg, for instance, to bend the horse. Bending the horse was never meant to be about using a leg aid. Bending the horse should come purely from a rein aid. So I can bend him here in a little bit of an indirect fashion, and I can bend him here by opening my rein and stepping him in. So if I have a horse that doesn't bend, for me it just doesn't shift off a rein aid. Once I teach him to shift off these rein aids, we can get as little or as much bend as we need. Here I can do counter bend to shift his shoulders this way. and I can, oh, let's go this way, buddy, I'm getting dizzy. And on the circle here to bend him more. I mean, how much bend do you need? I don't need to use my leg in order to do that. You'll find your horse much, much lighter in front if you teach him these indirect turn aids. So indirect turn just means I use my left rein in this case to go right, or my right rein to go left. And I find it's a bit of a funny situation in dressage, how we're taught that we're never allowed to cross the rein over the neck. Oh no, don't cross the rein over the neck. But you can stick a steel spike on your boot and kick your horse in the ribs as often as you like to get it away from you. But whatever you do, oh, no, don't do that. That's really bad. I tell you what, if I was a horse, I would much rather someone took a rein a little bit across the neck to turn me or to bend me than to stick me with the spurs. So it's a big part of why I can get these horses nice and forward. It's a big part of how I solved the issue with my old German horse Landioso that had been used to a heck of a lot of leg. I just said, well, we just don't do leg anymore. We're not doing leg for bending, and we're definitely not doing leg for steering. So my legs can just sit there. There's no leg pressure on unless I want a response from the horse. Another tricky thing for the horse is he's got to habituate fully to girth pressure, okay? So where the girth lies, he's got to not care anymore about what can be quite a strong pressure there. I think he wants to Spanish walk. What do you want to do? You want a Spanish walk? You want to do something? No, maybe. That's it. Good boy. He's an overachiever, aren't you? You're a good little fella. Good man. So you want a horse to absolutely not care. No, that's enough. About girth pressure, but right behind your leg, you want them to be uber sensitive to the leg. Now that's really tricky because they're just about in the same spot. So we're saying don't worry about the girth, that doesn't matter at all, but the leg really matters. Some horses find that very, very tricky to do, including most horses at the rodeo. So the ones at the rodeo are often ones that found it you're not doing that anymore, finding it hard to habituate to the girth pressure. So yeah, that's a big thing with the horse. If you use your legs, think about how often you use them in your training, and maybe you are overusing them. I never get off a horse with tired legs ever. I just refuse to do it. I never want to use more than probably a 2 or a 3 out of 10 pressure. So you see here, I'm going to do a canter depart aid, just slightly laying that leg there, and it literally just touched the side of him, and that was enough to make him canter. And again here, my legs just into position. They're just breathing on his side, and it's enough to canter. Once the horse is cantering, I take my leg away. You often hear in dressage lessons about what to do, and it's normally about adding more leg or more rein, but hardly anyone ever tells you when to take that leg pressure off. So you'll hear, more inside leg, that's it. Now more rein, more outside rein, more inside leg, more this, more that. But the secret in horse training is to release the pressure the instant the horse gives the right response. And we call that negative reinforcement, or pressure and release. If you don't remember to take your leg off the instant the horse did what it was you wanted him to do, he will either get tense or he will get dead to the leg. So you want to make sure, if you're using, for instance, I'll pop him into trot. I squeezed for trot, now I'm no longer squeezing. I'm going to squeeze here to slow him down in the trot, and now he's slowed down, now leave him alone. I might do a nudge for a longer step. You're crazy today. Good boy. Nudge. Good boy. He's a little sensitive today. Nudge. Good boy. And I stop nudging once he gives the right answer, which for him is learning a little bit about lengthening. The thing with lengthened trot is, lengthened trot should come from collection, and it's quite funny how here in New Zealand we ask for lengthening right at the very start when we have no collection. Even in the second level or novice dressage tests, the horses are asked to lengthen their stride when they haven't been asked to collect their stride. Good boy. Good boy. So this guy probably won't get strong enough in his extended trot till he's maybe a 10-year-old. He just needs to build up a little more balance and a little bit more power. Good boy. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about turning the horse. I don't turn my horse with my legs. Not now, not ever, not in the future. There is not one of you in the audience that will convince me that using your legs to turn a horse is the right thing. What I want to teach him to do is that when I slightly open my right rein, he abducts his right leg, in other words, opens his leg to the right. When I open my left rein, good boy, you're all right, he steps his shoulders to the left. And again to the left. Dude, listen, good boy. That's it. To the right. That's it. Good, he moved his hindquarters a little bit then. That's not too much of a problem. Good boy. And again to the left. Good. So what you want the horse to do when it turns is to open its inside front foot. I'm going to do some in motion now. They're a little bit harder to see once he's walking, but I'm going to squeeze on the right side of his mouth with a slightly open rein. Good. It's going to ask his right front foot to step to the inside. And again, his right front foot to step to the inside. A circle is just a series of turns. If you ask me what my inside leg does on a circle, I say nothing. What does your outside leg do? Nothing. They just sit there. It's just a steering exercise. So I can use my direct rein there to pick up the right front foot and move it slightly to the inside or even more to the inside. As I talked about earlier, I can use an indirect rein to shift the horse out off my circle. So I take my hand a little bit towards his midline and shift him away. The same here on the circle. I can open my outside rein, step his foot to the outside, close my outside rein and step his shoulders away. So you end up with a horse that's very, very light on the forehand, and you're not constantly pushing the horse onto its front legs. You keep him really light. So how then do I ride a shoulder in? Well, it's exactly the same as riding the start of a 10-meter circle. My legs do nothing, absolutely nothing. They just sit there and I can take the horse into shoulder in. Now, if while I'm in the shoulder in the horse gets a little slow, I can give a squeeze with my legs. Slow isn't an issue here for us today, Speedy Gonzalez. And if I need to lengthen his stride, I can give him a little bump with my leg. But I watch a lot of people really struggling in the shoulder and contorting around and kicking and pulling. And once your horse knows the direct and indirect rein age, you just simply shift the shoulder in, maybe shift the shoulder along. If I want to get the shoulder in more, I can close there. If I've got too much neck bend, I can straighten it there. And I just get the horse to sit and stay in that shoulder in position. And anytime my hands go too high, we do Spanish walk. It's actually Portuguese walk with him. He's not a Spanish horse, he's a Portuguese horse. So then when I move on to travers, which is another dressage movement, when I get to take the quarters in, what I need to teach the horse is to leg yield. So that's when I put one leg slightly back. Now that's two legs back. You see how confusing life is for a horse. So many buttons, so little time. So some leg yield here where he's moving away from my leg. I'll do another one back here towards you guys. I put my leg slightly back and press with it very gently. And once he starts moving sideways, I'm no longer pressing. That's again another mistake people make. They think that you need to push from one end of the leg yield to the other. I pushed once at the start very gently. He started yielding. I removed my leg. Well, I stopped pressing with my leg, but I keep it in position. So he knows when my leg is in leg yield position, he needs to keep leg yielding until told otherwise. But there is zero pressure there from my leg. Hard for you guys to maybe see, because my leg is back, but my leg being back is what says we are still yielding. And again here, gently slide that leg back. It's only one leg, so it's not PF. Good boy. Good, good, good. I should be able to give away the rein, and he should keep yielding. Good. So this is a principle that we call self-carriage. Self-carriage says, in the absence of signals, the horse must continue on its own. And that's getting back to what I said at the start, that I learned at the start of my dressage training was about holding the horse in rhythm, holding the horse online and holding the horse's head down. But I realize now, and once you start riding talented horses like this that wouldn't tolerate being ridden that way, you start to realize that no, if I let go, you must stay in rhythm. If I let go, you must stay on my line. And if I let go, you must stay in a stable head carriage. So I'm not interested in pulling the horse's head down or holding the horse's head down. I'm interested in it being a trained response. So in terms of in my sideways, self-carriage means I no longer have to keep pressing and the horse will just keep moving sideways for me. So I want to really be able to sit here, make it look as if I'm doing nothing, and also from the horse's point of view, make it feel like I'm doing nothing.